welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Today I'm going to talk about the levels I have for Amazon stock. The stock had a split, as everybody knows about this, the public knowledge. They had a 20-to-1 split. Stock price went down to $100 and it used to be over $2,000. And the reason that these splits happen is because when company feels that their stock is very expensive and retail investors, general public is not being able to pick up a lot of shares because it's expensive, they usually do a split. Okay, it's not going to increase the money in terms of, if you had, it's basically slicing the pizza, right? It's not going to give you extra money or anything like that. But the benefit to get out of this is that, for example, if you had, let's say you were not buying Amazon stock because it was over $2,000. Now it become $100. I'm pretty sure you'll be willing to buy 2 or 3 shares. Now that's adding value back to the company, right? So that's why they do the split, to make it available for the general public. And the other benefit of that is if you're doing options, for example, the options contract, instead of being $1,000 options contract, it become more of like $100, $200, the cheap contract. So there's 2 added benefits that I feel like are greater in terms of the company adding value. And let's talk about the levels that I have, the price prediction I have here. Now, in my opinion, Amazon Prime is around the corner, so definitely there's going to be a lot of momentum on the upward momentum on that stock. So usually, as you know, right, usually if you've seen my previous videos, usually what I do is I have 4 phases that a stock goes through, right? The stock goes through what I call is accumulation, which is sort of consolidation. After accumulation, you have a markup. Okay, that's where the stock takes off, and usually that's either upward momentum or downward momentum. This sort of follows the same criteria. And here is your profit taking, which is called distribution. This is where people that got in and they're like, you know what, we're good. This is absolutely fine. We're ready to take our profit. And after distribution, what happens is you get a decline. Okay, as you see here on my levels. So this is right here. So there are 4 steps: accumulation, which is consolidation, markup, distribution, and decline. Right now, we are at accumulation again. All right. Now, here's the deal, right? This is how it goes. It's a probability game, right? This whole market, stock market, I know, I have levels here. The levels are sort of gives you an edge that, okay, there is a possibility the stock can actually go to that price and could go beyond from there, right? But that's the edge, right? It's not guaranteed. If I say, okay, the stock is going to hit 125 or 125.57, that's a probability. There's no guarantee that it's going to come to 125.57 and drop back down, right? It could have a wick that could be that long, right? It could go up to, highest it could go to 128. What I'm saying is, you got to take these levels as the probability, sort of giving you an edge, sort of telling you what their stop losses or what the profit taking should be, where it should be at. But again, it should not be a sort of a set stone like, okay, this is what the level is, and this is where it's going to go, and this is definitely that type of mentality where you like thinking that, okay, it's going to hit 125 and it's going to come down and that's it. Like it has to hit 125, that has to hit 125. It's like it's a failure. Okay, that's why a lot of people give up on market, because they think of it as like something that will happen. There's nothing. Let's say you have 125, right? And you said, okay, it's gonna hit 125. At 125, for some reason, some institutional bank comes in and they buy 500,000 shares of that stock. It's gonna cross at 125 and no hard, like you wouldn't even know. Like within a second, it's gonna go one tick, right? One order, one tick up is going to break your resistance, right? So what does that say? So what I'm saying is the objective trying to tell you is that these levels are an edge, right? History repeats itself. We already know this. These different indicators give you an idea where it's going to go, but it's not guaranteed. Please understand that. So every time you get into a trade, you got to have a stop loss, right? So this is why we have a downward momentum too, like downward. This is what we call support, right? So in support, I said, okay, let's say I get into 106. My support, I said, I'm going to probably take my support at around maybe $100. Okay, it's like $6 or whatever 10% might be, right? But you always have a exit point. Doesn't matter if it's going to kick you out right away, but at least have your exit point that strategy, having an exit point before you get into the trade, determine where you're going to come out. Doesn't matter if it's going to get you out within the first hour or it's going to get you out the next day, but have your exit point. And of course, next day, you will have a profit taking as well. You cannot just let the profit go. You also have to have, where you want to take the profit. Okay. So let's talk about those. Right now it's under accumulation. If let's say the next is going to be markup, right? If you see a candle going up from here, right? Let's say this is a green candle right there. And if it started going up at this point, we could potentially see a markup here, okay? And that markup could give us, let me mark this green. And again, as I said, right, probability, right? It could go up to that level that I draw. And then you can have some distribution can happen right here. Some small candles, red candles, right? Some distribution can happen here. And after that, you could probably see a decline again. It could carry on to the same momentum it was, right? So, but again, this is not to tell you that, okay, this is, let me just put it up here so it's easier to understand what I'm trying to say here. So let me put markup here. This is markup. Let me mark it green. Actually, you know what? Let me mark it red. So this way, at least you guys can see it. And this is, okay, let me delete this. We need to add text here, distribution. This is where the profit take is going to happen. Again, Amazon Prime is coming, and my take on this is that this is absolutely going to hit these levels. But if you have your, this is decline, okay? So, all right, here we go. So now it is accumulating right now, right? Let's say if it happens, it closed a green candle, which means that close of start of Tuesday, this is a solid green candle, okay? And start of Tuesday, it could potentially, take off again to 125 levels, okay? And then of course some distribution going to happen again and decline. Of course, if it crosses 125, it could potentially go up to 139, right? And if it crosses 139, the next resistance we have is at 168. These resistance are pretty much, if there's nothing between that, for example, if there's no resistance here, which means there's nothing here that would stop the stock price to go up. Okay, there's nothing here. There's no previous, where people think that what essentially it is the price is the supply and demand, right? People thinking that this should be the price for the stock. Right? Essentially, it's a supply and demand. Somebody holds a stock and you're trying to buy the stock. And a person sells you that stock at that price. And a lot of people think, yeah, this is a good price to sell the stock. You're buying the stock. That becomes sort of the consolidation part of it. And if somebody thinks, no, the price should be a lot higher and the demand goes up for the stock and it keep going up, the stock is keep going to move forward. So I think very least for the next week, watch out for these levels. And of course, have your stop losses. Let's say if you're getting it at 106, have your stop losses maybe at 95 or 98 just to be on the safer side. And of course, you can have a lower stop losses, depends on your 5%, 10% person or 15, 12%. Everybody has a percentage they need to put a stop loss on. Put the stop loss on. There's a support right here, 102. If it goes down, it could go down to 87. Of course, as I said, it's a probability. As far as the R size is concerned, it started to coming up a little bit. It's still under 40, but if of course it goes up, it could potentially go up to 125, as I said. MACD is also sort of sitting around the signal line, which means that it's sitting really close, which means that there's a possibility that it could grow as I draw up the picture right here. And your moving average, which I have for 30 period and 50 period and 10 period. Okay, now it looks like it is sort of hitting the 30 period, the 10 period. I'm on a simple moving average. And there's a possibility that it could bounce off of that as I drew up right here. It could potentially take. The reason I'm saying it's going to go up is because Amazon Prime Day is coming up. And look, it could consolidate for a little more right here. It's just not, there's no guarantee that it's going to go create this candle on Tuesday. It could consolidate for a few more candles and then mark up. But definitely take a look at the stock. Amazon Prime is around the corner. And again, this is a daily chart. I tend to do swing trading because it's easier for me. I don't have to break my head for a 15-minute chart and then try to, figure out where I'm going to come out and all that. So for me, daily works best. It's a lot of less headache. And, I already know where the accumulation is, what I think the market's going to be. This is my setup right here, right? If this setup plays out, I'm making money. If it doesn't play out, I'm out of the stock. Then I'll come back to it again and see if it's creating that same sort of momentum again, right? So I'm not worried about that. If I'm losing 2 trades and I'm making money on 1 trade, I might be able to make all the money that I lost in the first 2 trades. So I'm not concerned. And that's why I always tell people that always put your stop losses. Make sure that you don't, stop losses have to be logical. You cannot just put a stop loss right here at 102 and then it's going to kick you right out. It has to be logical, right? You have to see, okay, where is the potential for the stock to go down? As I said, 100 101, I don't see any. If it drops 101, you already know it's going down to 87, right? And if you want confirmation on that day, you could always wait to see if it crosses 106. If it crosses to 108, 109, well, you already know it's heading toward that, that markup that we just drew up. So take a look at this. I just want to make this quick video for you guys. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, do consider subscribing. The objective here is to get you guys when I'm looking at what play I'm looking at. I'm usually looking at daily charts, so you don't have to worry about, if I'm seeing profit for that day, I'll sell my stock. I'm not going to wait for next day to sell the stock, so I'll be able to sell the stock. But definitely take a look at this and let me know if you guys make any money on this. Leave a comment if you do, and I will talk to you guys later.